old Nintendo gamer.
And son.
But yeah, Apex, it sounds like I should give it a try. I did download it on PC because I wanted to give it a go before this podcast so we could chat about it, but I just never got around to it, unfortunately. What I did play instead this week was Turok, Dinosaur Hunter. And
the original.
It has been an absolute pleasure to play through this game. It's just, it was after talking about the N64 a few weeks ago that it really made me think, I really want to get an N64 again. And me and Greg have been chatting about it a little bit. And also I've been looking through my illicit GameCube collection, because I do have a GameCube, but not with me. So I've got Dolphin downloaded, and I've got a few games on there that I've been playing. Super Monkey Ball, for example. I've been having a great time with that. But Turok, now I didn't get it on the Switch because it was a little bit too pricey. I did end up picking it up on PC with Turok 2 for a pretty good price. 4K 60 frames HDR. It's an N64 game, but it still looks like fantastic, and it runs as smooth as butter on the PC. I'm sure the N64 version is 1080p 60. I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure it should run at that speed.
There's no reason why it shouldn't, that's for sure. Yeah.
And yeah, just wow. Metroid Prime. That's the game I think of when I play this, because I know that Iguana eventually went on to be, and the lead designer of this studio eventually joined Retro Studios, or founded Retro Studios. I can't remember exactly, but there's so much of Metroid Prime in this game that I hadn't realized basically when I played it before. And as a kid, I managed to get to the second level on this game and on Turok 2, and the fog was one thing. Getting lost in the fog and not really understanding the levels when I was younger was a big problem, but this time I've had no issues with that whatsoever. I think the level design is phenomenal in this game. There's so many sort of nooks and crannies and hidden secrets to uncover, and one of the best things I think about this game is a weapon called the Chrono Scepter, which you have to find a piece of in each level, and then when you get to the final boss, you can use it, and basically takes off half his health, which is exactly the same as Breath of the Wild. If you think about it, if you get the 4, what are they called? Guardian spirits? Divine Beasts.
Yeah.
It takes off half of Ganon's health. And exactly the same here, only in 1997. And I managed to do it. And I spent, on a couple of the levels, I did spend an hour or so going back through them and just, looking around. Because once you clear the level, the enemies basically disappear. A few of them respawn occasionally, but you can sort of just run around and look for stuff. And I found, for me, that was the best approach. Because the first time, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of enemies. There's nice variety, and they definitely get stronger towards the end of the game. And in the final level, there's some really, really tough enemies. But luckily, by then, you've hopefully collected a lot of the later guns from the game, like the rocket launcher, the grenade launcher. There's a couple of plasma rifle and some other sort of really heavy weapons that you can use, and all of them feel great. Even the pistol, like you were saying about Apex Legends, the pistol is very weak, but when you fire it, it feels like it's got something behind it. I love the assault rifle, which is another really weak weapon for hard bosses, but I was just running around the level with the assault rifle or with the shotgun, just speeding through the levels, taking everything out, circle strafing enemies, which I haven't done for a very, very long time. That feels so good to do that. I was playing with the Xbox pad, and I actually tried to replicate the original Turok controls. So I put the movement on the 4 face buttons. So it's digital movement, basically. So yeah, and use the stick to look around, and it felt pretty decent, but in the end I went back to the dual analog because it was just much easier that way. So if you hold right on the left stick, if you hold it directionally sort of up and left or up and right, you move much faster, like on GoldenEye, and you can make bigger jumps and stuff like that. So it's very old school, very retro. But yeah, I had a great time with it, and I actually found it fairly easy overall. Doom was definitely a lot harder. So I don't know whether... I'm going to start Turok 2. Don't know whether to crank up the difficulty for that one a little bit, just because... I mean, you can literally strafe around the enemies and they can't touch you. So you're just circling them and destroying them, basically. Never really had any trouble with any of the bosses, apart from the first one, because I didn't really have that many powerful weapons. But the final couple of bosses at the end of the game, no problem whatsoever. So I think I might crank up the difficulty for the next one. But yeah, just fantastic level design. Everything just sort of feels very... natural, and it's sort of you start off in the jungle and then you're going through ancient cities. It just like there feels like there's really good progression with the sort of places that you go to, and then it ends in like a big factory, and everything becomes a lot more sort of futuristic and metallic rather than the sort of what you would think of Turok as sort of running through the jungle with a knife killing dinosaurs. It actually gets kind of like
which is on the box art.
Yeah. And just one of the best things I remember was the final. I think it was the final Chronoceptor piece. It was a lava level. Now I can't remember if it was level 7 or level 8. I think it was level 7, so the second to last level. And I was just. There's quite a few tricky jumps. It's got the Metroid Prime jumping as well, where you have to go between, press the A button to basically go between floating platforms. So it's even got that reference to it. But there was one bit where there's like a pool of lava, like a stream of lava, and you basically have to like go through this corridor bit with lava. And I saw there was like a small sort of room off to the side and just a pool of lava, and I thought, that's weird. That's got to lead to something. So I jumped into the lava thinking I would die, but no, it's actually water. And it takes you down under the level and then back up right to the top of the level, and it's another secret. And there's 30 of them in the game, basically, like hidden in walls or just sort of hidden where you can't really see them. And in the first playthrough, I managed 16 out of 30. So I've got 14 more to find. It's the final achievement as well. If I do that, I'll 100% the game. So I'm definitely...
Does it tell you which levels you got to go back to get them on, or does it just say the entire game?
I'm going to use a guide for that. Like, check them off, but not to find where they are, but just to say, okay, I've got that one, I've got that one, I've got that one.
Or at least to find how many are on level 1.
Yeah, exactly.
The first area, and then I got 5. Right, I'm missing 1 from this area, so.
But it was great fun. The graphics actually are pretty decent. It looks very sharp, obviously, if you crank up the resolution. You can download, for the PC version at least, mods which make the sort of N64 textures look a lot better, but it's still very sort of blocky, if you know what I mean. I think my only complaint about the game was that I kind of got the sort of Doom syndrome towards the end. The last couple of levels, they started both to go on quite a bit too long, and I don't know if it's just the anticipation of beating the game and wanting to finish the game, but the last level especially, it just felt like it carried on forever, and I was just every time I got into a new area or a new room, I was thinking, is this the boss? Oh no, it's not. And yeah, because I wasn't really having any trouble with the enemies, it did kind of feel like going through the motions a bit towards the end. And I've read that Turok 2 only has 6 levels rather than 8. So I hope this won't be an issue, because by the end of level 6 in the first Turok, I was still really, really enjoying it. It was just an hour and 20 minutes for the 7th level, an hour and 20, an hour and a half for the last one. I was like, okay, this is too much now. I just want to beat it and turn it off. But yeah, it was great. One of the best first-person shooters I've ever played. I haven't played that many, to be honest. It feels very old school, but it's better than any Call of Duty game I've ever played, just off the bat, and better than most of the stuff that I've played recently. I would say it's very similar to Doom 2016 in the sort of the way the levels are designed and the way the sort of secrets, collectibles, pickups and stuff like that work. It's very, very, very similar. I just think the level design is more intuitive and is more... In Doom 2016, it still felt like the game was pushing you through a path. Whereas this does feel like in some places there are like multiple routes, basically, and you can really go off the beaten path to find something interesting or cool. So it feels more like GoldenEye in that respect, that there is sort of multiple ways through a level, through some of the levels, not all of them, and that there isn't sort of one set way to go. And I've always enjoyed that kind of level design, that sort of, here's a world, get to the end, but you can sort of explore it as much as you want. And yeah, really good fun. I highly recommend picking this up. If it's, I think, what is it, $17.99?
Yeah, it was once it came down 50%, didn't it?
Yeah, I think definitely worth it at 50%.
Yeah.
It would be nice if they could bundle them both together.
Yeah.
I think that would be better because, I mean, even though it is upscaled and sort of, it is remastered, $17.99 for an N64 game essentially is a bit steep, I think. But if it goes on sale, definitely pick it up. It's great. Can't wait to start the second one. Really looking forward to it. I certainly
will. I didn't put much time into the first one. I don't know, it didn't gel with me. But the second one, I've talked about before as well. I did prefer the second one. But I can't remember. There is that open world feel to some of the levels, like you said, but there is also a linearity progression through them as well, if you kind of follow the main kind of story beats, you know? Yeah.
Well, I've read that Turok 2, because I've never played past the first level, the Port of Ada or Port of Adia or something.
Yeah.
I've never really played past that level, because again, as a kid, N64, never owned it, just borrowed it. I wasn't that great at Turok. But I've heard the later levels do have a more sort of corridor shootery feel.
They do. Yeah, from my memory, they do, yeah.
Which I'm not too keen on, but we'll see.
Especially when you get into the kind of technological stuff later. But I remember there was a great bow. You could change your bow and you could get a sniper bow. So there was like
I remember that,
sniper rifle. Yeah. That felt really good.
The bow's really good in the original Turok game as well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Took me just under 10 hours to finish it, which I was surprised at, longer than I expected. But as I said, I did go back to a couple of the levels again to explore them a bit. I think you could probably finish the game in 5 or 6 hours if you weren't exploring and you weren't going back, which is not bad actually. That's quite a lot of content for an FPS. Just right, I think. It's not too much, it's not too little. But yeah, I'm going to start 2 later today or maybe tomorrow and just give that a go.
I think that first level just sticks. I played through the first level so many times, you know, it just sticks in my head. That's a great level.
I still remember the music. I still remember the layout. It is fantastic. I agree.
The explodable wall. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You shoot the barrels and bang, you blow
release the children.
Yeah. Child catchers got them. With that, whenever we're alone here, Nick, we are talking about first-person shooters all the time. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.